allow me to introduce Maurice Thibodeau. He is a creator and a connector. He helps people live the greatest expression of themselves. He's into the awareness of their life opportunities, which includes illuminating their highest areas for personal growth and activating their purpose. Creator of the Life Inventory Assessment and Life Activation Process. He has also the Immense Invitation to Life, a review process that points the user to specific areas of growth, their inner source, their most powerful fuel in living in abundance. He's co-founded and is the chair of the creative director of I Am Events, a non-for-profit. And he also hosts the annual Wellness Festival hosted in Manitoba. He's married with 3 daughters and enjoys living on 80 acres of land. Must be a bit of mosquitoes out that way. It's Manitoba. Sorry. Degree in business admin, and he's a former business banker and spent most of his career as a tech business leader, where he specialized in building partnerships and corporate contracts. He's also a master hypnotherapist, a certified CCF life coach, and he's been coaching and training in the business world for the last 15 years. Maurice, over to you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bernie and Margaret and all of you. I'm going to actually change my screen one more time so I can see more of you at the same time. I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to present to you guys today. And I love that it's called Connect Ottawa. For anyone that's done any values work, you pick a list, of words, and you kind of figure out the words that resonate most with you. Well, my highest value happens to be connection. And I was forced to choose that after doing values work for over 15 years. I was forced to pick my top one just last year and working with Steve. And my highest value is connection. And my hope today is to be able to connect with you, and specifically to connect with you as a leader in your life. As a leader in your life, often when we talk about leadership and concept, it's just about work. It's yourself as a leader at work. And what I really want to bridge and open up is the concept of who you are as a leader in your life today. We're going to move pretty fast. You're going to do a tiny bit of math through this, so it would serve you if you have a pen and paper nearby. And my hope is that if you stay engaged with me, at the end of this isn't just about yapping. At the end of this, I would love it. My goal is that you walk away with 4 actual tangible things, 4 actions that you choose that will help you elevate your leadership game. So that's our goal today. That's what I'm going to be focused on. And I will begin with a little intro of how I plan to share that. Let me organize my screens, because whenever you share, it changes it up. You guys can see the one slide, is that right? Leadership in you. Okay, I shared the right screen. Amazing, go like this. Okay, perfect. One more move. Now, can you guys also see my board? Because I'm going to be doing both. Are you guys able to, when I'm sharing my screen, you can kind of see that? Because I'm asking you to participate. I'm going to be doing the work with you. I'm going to be doing it live. I've had the benefit of, thinking about it a little bit. But we're going to do this together, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So how we're going to get there today is we're going to talk about what is extreme leadership. So you have the context of why I'm using this as a framework. We are going to be talking about the 4 pillars of extreme leadership, and then specifically how those apply to you as a leader in your life. I'm going to drill that all down into one essential element. And if you pay attention, I've already given you the answer to that. But I'm going to give you the answer a whole bunch more times. At the end, I have some gifts, one from Steve and one from me. It's over $100 worth of stuff. I call them transformational gifts because I truly believe that if you apply them, they can have moments of transformation in your life. And finally, we're going to end with QA. So that's where we're going. Your role and my ask of you is two things. You chose to be here today. If you're doing 100 other things right now or 3 other things, I encourage you to come and focus your energy here, because once I start, it's going to move pretty fast. And aside from a little bit of mental math, your presence, your engagement is going to be the difference of the quality of the 4 actions that you might take away. So that's one. Second, we're really looking at the activate energy, the sage energy of activation. I've been to lots of presentations, and I'm an activator. That's one of my top 5 Gallup strengths. And I'm also a visionary as one of my top. But if we don't activate the visions we have, then what the heck are we doing? Finally, I'll ask for any forgiveness. That would be the 3rd one I have. I know we're live, but when I get excited about this stuff, sometimes I'll curse, and I'm going to try not to do that. But I'll ask for forgiveness early on. And so that's my ask of you guys for the next 25 minutes or so. Okay, so in introducing you, my goal of connecting with you and who you are as a leader, I am using the Extreme Leadership Framework. The Extreme Leadership Framework was founded and developed by the guy you see on your screen, Mr. Steve Farber. He's become a friend, a colleague. I'm very, very proud to say that we're partners in a mastermind, a professional development and growth mastermind program. Steve has written 4 best-selling books. He's working on his 5th right now, which I can't tell you about. He's been talking about this stuff, this love and leadership stuff, since I was like in middle school. For many, many years, he was the vice president of the Tom Peters Company. I tell you this because I've chosen to use a framework of leadership to help us kind of bridge our relationship, right? Your relationship with who you are as a leader. I've chosen to use this framework, and I want you to know where it comes from and the credibility, I guess, it has behind it. And so I'm sharing this with the permission and the celebration of Steve, and we're going to use that to deepen our learning. Thanks, Steve. I know you're listening. Okay, so extreme leadership and you. There's 4 pillars of extreme leadership, and it's broken down in an acronym. The acronym is LEAP, L-E-A-P. I'm going to go through each of those pillars. But before I do, this is the first hard choice that you have. And I say choose wisely because often I think when we're talking about large concepts, like large body of knowledge, like leadership, we lose application. We lose that activate energy by not having context. And we get to live and operate in so many areas of our life that if we just apply leadership in all the contexts at once, it can be really hard to kind of actually separate and sort through the weeds of it and really discern, really understand who we are as leaders. So just for this exercise, and the beauty of this, I'm gonna run you through it once in one of these categories, whatever category you pick. I'm looking at this because I got a bigger picture of my screen. These are 13 categories of your life. So in these 13 categories, I just want you to pick one. It can be work. It can be your love life. It can be your parenting. Pick one that feels like, that resonates with you. This is a bit of a mindfulness minute because we're going to go fast soon. So I'll actually slow down. So as you're looking at these, pick one of the categories that resonates with you as you wanting to move forward and look deeper with. Because the category you pick, we're going to apply the 4 pillars of extreme leadership. And the category that you pick, those will be the 4 actions that come from it. So I say choose wisely in terms of a category that's really alive for you right now. For me, and Part of me hates that I'm picking this category. I'm going to tell you the one I'm picking. Part of me hates it because it's kind of the cliche. I'm picking work, and I encourage you to pick whatever's most alive for you. Right now, when I thought about this, I'm like, work is most alive for me in my life. It's so if you have a piece of paper, write down which category you chose. And if you are comfortable enough, I would encourage you to share it in the chat. Because if you share in the chat along the way, you're going to let other people know that you're doing the work too. So for the people that are on camera, thank you, by the way, for being on camera. It really helps me connect. Give me a thumbs up that you've chosen a category. Because you guys are going to be the proxy of keeping everybody else on pace. Okay, fantastic, fantastic. All right, up next, I'm going to go through the 4 elements. The first one in the LEAP framework is cultivate love. So think about that category that you chose. And the question is, how are you cultivating love in that category? And cultivating love for what you do and who you're around. It's about acceptance. It's about accepting the other person as they are. It's about engaging the power, the sage power of empathy. Empathy is self-love and love to others. And here I use the word compassion versus empathy. So think about in how you are treating others and how you are showing up in that category of your life. How are you cultivating love? And as you kind of roll through that, okay, when I show up, how am I loving, if it's work, the customers that I serve? How am I loving the work that I pour myself into? So that's one, and I want you to score yourself. This is the mental math. There's going to be 2 scores. First is score yourself out of 10. 10 is like you are abundantly cultivating love in this area of your life. Like you couldn't think of any ways to do it any more than you are. And 0 is like, oh shit. Sorry, that was my swear. We call it the OSM moment. 0 would be like, it could be actually a triggering moment for you right now. If you look at that question and you're like, the way I'm showing up isn't cultivating love. So score yourself. For me, in the work context, I feel like I'm doing that at about an 8. Could be an 8 or a 9, but I like to pick a round number. That's the first score. Second score, to the right of it, this one's an important one, and I so appreciate the number of people that have come on. I heard coaches and mindset coaches and people doing this really important work already. You're going to really appreciate the next score. Score yourself same scale out of 10, but point the finger at you. How are you cultivating love in the context of the category that you picked? How are you cultivating love for yourself? And rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. 10, you are like pouring self-compassion, empathy. You've quieted your judge. Your self-talk is positive. You are pouring love on yourself when it comes to this category of your life. For me at work, I'm in an interesting spot right now, and I believe in pure transparency and authenticity. So I'm gonna mark myself a 6 out of 10. 6, 7, 7 might be even, but I'm picking the lower scores today. I don't know why. Okay, so for the people on camera, give me you've had enough time to think about that and score yourself. Fantastic. And Bernie and Marguerite, if there's any questions, I don't have the chat open, so if anything comes up, let me know if I need to stop.
So Mercy Abby has her hand up for a question. Mayank also. So Mercy,
Okay.
You're first.
Yeah. And it might just be a mistake because sometimes the new.
No, she has her hand up. She just unmuted. Hang on. Go ahead, Mercy.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, I'm just joining this like live program now. Then I don't know what you guys have talked so far, but I actually met him talking about love, acceptance, truth and passion, working with a colleague at work, and loving what you do by scoring yourself. So I'll score myself 8 because I love what I do. I'm an account officer. I love what I do. I love accounting so much. I love it so much. Yeah, my question is I would just want you to just brief on what you've talked so far. Just brief on it for me to just have a note on it. Thank you.
My recommendation will be for this question part will be context questions to make sure that we're following. I will thank you for the question. I will answer it quickly. But I think for this, it would be context questions and then deep dive questions at the end. We're talking about your relationship to yourself as a leader in your life. That's the summary version. And I'm breaking down, I'm using the Extreme Leadership Framework by my partner, Steve Farber, to go through and help us explore that. Good. Any other context questions in terms of how to think about this and how to make your score?
Don't have any other hands up at the moment.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you. Okay, so next is generate energy. And a really simple way to kind of think about this is when you walk into a room, here, actually, I'm going to make it the other way. When somebody else walks into the room, and think about like the context of whatever you chose, work, family, love, whatever it is. When somebody else that's involved in that context walks in the room, what happens to the energy in that room, in that space, right? Does it lift up? Is it a positive energy? Is it compassionate energy? Is it soft? Is it hard? Does it kind of, you've got some people that walk into a room and all of a sudden the energy is like gone. And when that person leaves, all of a sudden the energy kind of comes back. If I go into a little bit of the woo-woo space, it could be said that we are all energy. It's what we are. And actually, it's woo-woo, but also science backs it up in terms of our ability to use our energies to be serving in the highest health for ourselves and others. So when you think about the energy that you're even bringing into this space right now, the greatest gift is, first of all, your presence, extreme participation. So when you think about the energy that you're bringing to the context of your life that you chose, let's do a rating again out of 10. 10 being like, okay, in this context, I'm bringing everything that I can bring. That would be a 10, and 0 would be like, oh, I'm like sitting on the couch. Like I don't even get up. When my kids walk in the door, I just stay on the couch, drink another beer. Well, then your energy is probably pretty low if you were like evaluating your role as a parent. So for me, for work, I'm about a 9 right now. Now, here's the other thing. When you think about the energy that you're bringing to yourself, the self-talk, the scripts that are running in your subconscious, when you go and apply yourself in that context, how would you score yourself? What kind of energy are you flowing into yourself? At work right now, I'm probably it's 7 or 8, so I'm going to go with a 7. Okay, we got that one scored. Thumbs up, right? Pretty simple stuff, right? These are pretty simple concepts. I like to describe it as extraordinary simple and exceedingly difficult to put in practice and actually fully embody. Okay, next is inspire audacity. So this is the A, inspire audacity. And so OSM, as I kind of already demonstrated, that stands for the O moment, the ocean moment. This is the moment when you're about to do something scary. It's lit up your fear centers because you don't know exactly how it's going to turn out. It could be, if it's a work context, it could be, for me, this presentation is an example of oh, okay, I'm going to be in front of a whole bunch of people who've never met me before. Let's not screw this up. And then me to have the courage to push through that OSM and say, no, you know what? Even if I do mess some things up, I'm still okay. I'm still going to lead myself with audacity. I'm going to push through that fear and I'm going to show up. So inspiring audacity is how we push through the things that might otherwise, scare us. And then we push the limits. We challenge ourselves to do great things. So when you think about, are you pushing the limits? Are you being vulnerable in the area of your life that you chose when it comes to how you are leading? So for me, in my work life, I am gonna do I'm gonna go with an 8 because I'm using lower numbers today. 8 out of 10. And then flip that in your relationship with yourself. And this one's pretty similar of all the ones. It's like, are you inspiring audacity? Are you moving towards who you are, who your essence is, how you are personally growing, what you are learning, what you're willing to look at? And when I say that, it's like sometimes we have stuff in our life that we just put in a box. I'm not looking at that. Too painful. And the audacious approach is to be like, I'm going to go and heal that. I'm going to go find out what that's about, why I get triggered all the time when this happens. You can see, you'll hear in my language as a leadership coach, I have a very therapeutic approach because I think, and you'll see in my closing message that I think how we coach leadership, how we train leadership, I think we need to have some significant change to be the embodied leaders that we can. So the question is, how are you inspiring audacity in your own self? This one, interesting enough for me, it's like 9 out of 10. I'm actually feeling more audacious on that side internally. Okay, you ready for the last pillar of extreme leadership? Providing proof. Probably one of the simplest ones to understand. And there's this like super simple acronym. Took me like 5 years to figure out how to say. So super simple. Dizzy-wit. Do what you say you will do. Dizzy-wit. Like providing proof. So it's another one of these concepts. Pretty simple. I told Bernie that I was going to be here today at, it was 11:40 for me. I was here at 11:40 on the dot. I did what I said I was going to do. Really simple in concept, can be extraordinarily rare and exceedingly complex in principle. A game you can play with this is treat your commitments like contracts and just track them in one day. And if you pass that day, if you pass all the contracts that like you meet all the commitments that you contracted, see how many days in a row you can go without slipping. You'll very quickly realize that it's like, oh, I actually like am probably overcommitting myself more than I like to. Part of what I'm going through right now in my work context is I'm actually feeling that. This is a value that's important to me, but it feels more aspirational than lived because I'm missing some of the commitments that I've put out. It feels like crap, so I'm paying attention to that. So when it comes to providing proof, when it comes to you taking extreme ownership of doing what you say that you're going to do to all the people that you're interacting with, again, in the context is key. In the context to the area of life that you chose to look, what's your score? For me in work, this is why I'm feeling crappy about it. I'm feeling about a, I'm going to go with a 6. It's probably a 7. I'm going to do 7. I'll be a little bit kinder to myself on this last one. And then turn that around. Your self-commitments, the commitments you make to yourself. Are you providing the proof? If you say, I'm going to go to the gym 5 times this week, are you doing that? If you say, I'm going to meditate, every morning for 10 minutes, are you doing that? If you say, I'm going to be mindful of what I put in my body, every time I eat and drink something, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to activate my sage power of, it's actually activation, and be like, well, why am I doing this right now? Are you doing that? So for me, I am providing proof personally to myself at work. Oh, but I'm actually about the same in this case, 7. Okay, did you guys have time to score yourself? At least people on camera. Fantastic. Thank you.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so here we get to do the add up your scores. So in each of these areas on the left-hand side, add up your total scores. This is the small mental math that you got to do. 8, 9, that's 17, 23, 30. So 30 out of 40 on the external side for me. And on my internal side, 6, 13, 22, 22, 29. Is that right? Is that much? Yeah. When you've had a chance to do thumbs up for the people on camera, that you've had a chance to calculate your scores. I know this isn't complex stuff, but I just want to make sure. So if you are like me, I happen to have a pretty close score. What I most often see is that what do you notice? Pay attention. Is there a deviation between your external score, which is usually higher, and your internal score? And if you're comfortable, like put your scores in the chat. But like I remember no one no one really knows the depth of the context. So this is an opportunity to be audaciously vulnerable and put I, your internal score, and E as your external score. So E was the first one, I is your second one. What I most often see is a large deviation between usually the external scores higher. It's the things that everyone else can see. It's the prioritization of the other people. It's the mask that we put on, say, yeah, I'm doing all these things. And then when we actually look at how we're treating ourselves using this framework, this is one framework of many. And the beauty of context is you can actually look and be like, oh, you might notice some room for improvement. And that's a great thing. That's a great thing. So we talked about walking away. So before I move on, as you look at those scores, I'm going to invite you to take that activate energy. And as you look at cultivate love in the context of the life category that you chose, what's one thing, one action that you could take to cultivate more love in what you're doing today? It doesn't have to be huge. It can be as small as, and it can be on either side, external or internal. It could be I'm going to remind myself that I have successes to celebrate. I'm going to write that down. It could be external. I'm going to put more gratitude into my team. I don't think they know how well they're doing. That's a work context. Cultivate love in your love relationship. I'm going to let my partner know just what an impact she has in my life. One task, one item in the Cultivate Love category. And when you have it, people on camera, give me a thumbs up because I'm watching you. You're the pacemakers. Okay, yep. Good. Thank you. And if you're kind of like, if you get caught with this because of time, you can always come back. And remember, the beauty is this, you can pick any other life category and go through it. I usually like find the 2 or 3 life categories that are kind of needing the most attention, and then go through that. And then you prioritize like that, what activities you can do to be in higher alignment, in a higher energy vibration, to how you are leading in that area of your life. Next, let's go to generate energy. Think about the energy that you're bringing to that category of your life. Pick one, just one action that would activate that energy to a higher vibration. Could be internal, could be external. That would raise either one of those scores. Generate energy. So examples might be for me in work. And you'll notice they might kind of meld together, but trusting my gut in work for me is I want to celebrate the chairs of our masterminds. I haven't celebrated them in a while. I'm going to have an opportunity to do that on Thursday. Boom, one action. Keep it simple and use that momentum to move you forward. So one action on how to generate a higher vibration of energy than what your current store shows. Give me a heck yeah. Okay, yeah. Got Willie. Willie gave me a heck yeah. Thank you. Next, inspire Audacity. This one, by the way, we've done inside the Extreme Leadership Institute. We've surveyed all of Steve Farber's list, and we ask like, how are you doing on each of these things? Inspire Audacity is usually the lowest score, and it doesn't surprise me as an therapist because this one is most related with fear. It's our relationship with fear, and to actually move past the things that we don't know how they're going to turn out. That's the one that people usually score the lowest on. So one action that would have you kind of say, okay, I can be more audacious by doing this. Again, this is all applicable to the context that you chose. Okay. And last one is provide proof. This one's fairly simple. You can do a contracts call to say, what are the contracts I have going out? And what are actually the things that I'm doing? What's the deviation? Pick one thing that you can do. I would probably like pick the highest contract, the thing that you've just been like, oh, I gotta do that. At least do that one thing. It may be, I'm gonna make a list of all the contracts I have out there, and I'm either gonna change my agreement with them or I'm gonna execute on them. It may be, I'm gonna learn to say no to more things, and this is how. So those are some examples of you activating the energy of these concepts that are relatively simple, pretty profoundly powerful when we activate them in our lives. Okay, so that bridges me into a statement for me. Like, I think leadership changing has to change. And I believe it is. So I'm encouraged by it. I believe it's at that kind of tipping point. And I would love to see more leaders and more organizations keep pushing it, because I think we're still going uphill with it in terms of organizations and leaders understanding that in order for us to change and improve our leadership game, it's not just about the left-hand side. It's not just about the external side. It's actually when we move the needle, when we rise internally, And that's through, like, that's where it's like I quote myself as an entre-therapist, because it's more therapeutic than coaching actually at the base of it. But people are scared to say that because we're still pushing it up sales. So, I mean, let's call it coaching. But the stuff is when we really find out, okay, what are you scared of? And what is that about? Where did that come from? So the most effective and expansive way to raise your leadership capabilities is to improve our relationship with self. That is the path to becoming a fully integrated and activated leader. So it's building both of those muscles up. And to do that, it can be a complex process. And I'm encouraging you to go through that process, to step towards it boldly with Audacity. I'm doing that because it's a source of you cultivating love for yourself. It's a source of you generating the energy that you deserve and that you can spill out onto all the people around you. And it's a way for you to provide the proof. Rounding it is when you only work on, I'm going to use this analogy, and Bernie, I will round out very quickly. I'm looking at the clock. If you're only working on the horizontal, the one side, the left-hand side, it's like brushing just the front side of your teeth. This guy's happy. He thinks like, hey, look at my white teeth. Imagine he hadn't brushed the back side of his teeth. He just always only brushes the front side. His teeth, he's going to stink. He's not fooling me. Well, that's what we happen if we don't develop both sides, our internal and our external capabilities. Your breath might just really stink as a leader. I don't want that for you. The great news is when we do that inside, it raises our leadership game, our relationship with leadership in all the categories of our life. Whatever one you chose today, great. You got 4 actions to move to be a more elevated leader in that. You can do that. And when you do the right hand side in this example, all boats lift with that tide. And with just a little like, why not? Don't slough this off, even if it's scary or hard. Thank you guys. My name is Maurice. I'm an integrated leadership coach within the Extreme Leadership Institute. I'm a mastermind facilitator and I co-created that program. I'm going to put in the chat my email if you would like these gifts. I'm not just going to put it, if you want these, I'm going to put my email in the chat. Email me. There's 2. One is an audiobook of Steve's, one is from Steve of The Radical Leap, one of his best-selling books. It's an audio copy, and the second is My Life Work, the Life Inventory Assessment, which is a self-reflection assessment of all 13 of those categories. I'm going to give you guys both of those if you email me and say, hey, I want it. I'll be happy to give it to you, but you got to do the work. You got to do the activation. And that's it.